The Prolific Experience is the event infused with the poetry, music, and soul that you've been looking for. Purchase your advance tickets for your experience at theprolificexperience.com.
A prolific experience. I want an experience for soulful people that love the art of real music and poetry, that's filled with people who are fine with not being part of a popular clique or the in crowd. I want an experience with people who sing their stress away, even though they were told they couldn't sing because they don't sound like Beyonce. I want an experience where poets who have poetry in their hearts and thrown aside notebooks speak their piece in spite of being told that they're not real poets by people that feel like they have a name for themselves. I want to go into a zone that's supposed to be judgment-free and not pay to be judged. I want to experience people that are closet poets, musicians, and singers that have never introduced the mic to their spirit. I want to see them walk up to the mic and let their spirits free. I want to experience people filled with soul who aren't into gangster rap, killing the spirit and blatantly disrespecting themselves. People who have a love for art and love the true old school back in the day R&B, neo soul with a kiss of real hip hop from years before these babies were born and know where the help comes from. So it's no surprise when you hear a gospel song come from their lungs. I want an experience that I can grow from, that when I leave, I know my soul has been fed from. I want a prolific experience.
Hello and thanks for tuning in to the Prolific Experience Neo Soul Show, where we are infused with poetry, music, and soul. I am your host, Prolific Jones. I hope your new year has begun on a healthy, safe, and positive note. Today, we are going to talk to spoken word artist, producer, and executive director of Thunderground Productions, LLC, Righteous One, who I've known for close to 20 years. This was a double interview as he also interviewed me for his show.
This is Righteous One. This is an exclusive pre-release version, raw, poetic justice. Up and down these streets, I hear the ghetto heartbeat in my head, keeping rhythm while repeating what the preacher said. Something about fish and a piece of bread and walking the path that my feet was led, feeding the souls that need be fed by saying the words that need be said, having faith in the blood that indeed he shed, and praying for those who wanna see me dead. In God I trust. No need for me to rush. My enemies get crushed anytime I bust to ashes and dust. This is poetic justice. This is poetic justice. This is poetic justice. This is poetic justice. This is I gotta make you understand. See where I come from, never had cash in hand in a lump sum. Never had stacks of grants or Benjamins. Been lacking in funds, in fact, since day one. Matter of fact, I ain't had many ones. Unless we count pennies, had plenty of bum. And the insidious slum, there's pity for none. Grittiest bums scrum for the littlest crumb, which is silly to some. So they hustle till the daylight come, and dash from the popo when they might come, and blast with the fofo cause they quite numb. Poison hearts like hit by the dart of a blowgun. Wounds deep like made by the sword of a shogun. Fear inside but they can afford to show none. Most young got love for no one, cause most of them don't get love from no one. In God I trust, no need for me to rush. My enemies get crushed anytime I bust, till ashes and dust. This is poetic justice. This is poetic justice. This is poetic justice. This is poetic justice. This is, yeah, yeah. You ain't gotta do what they do. Just do what you feel. Never let them persuade you to sell out for a deal. I will show you the way through. Just trust in your skills. Use the gift that he gave you. But you got to be real. Got to be real. So from the heart to the pen, then out of the kiss, sir. Ain't none out now hotter than this, sir. Wisdom come through loud as a whisper. That's why I keep the rhyme style fresh as a crisper. Expand the frame when I enter the picture. No flash in the pan, I'm a permanent fixture. Give you what you need like reading a scripture. Street level heat with a spiritual mixture. Cursed at birth, now labeled the victor with a hold on a game like a boa constrictor. Back when only fans were mama and sister, I knew I'd rise like skin on a blister. Now I'm the uplifter, lyrical gifter. Try to heal the land of whatever afflicts her. Not a doc, but I'm something like an ailment fixer. Not the cure for sure, I'm just an elixir and I trust. No need for me to rush, my enemies get crushed anytime I bust, till ashes and dust. This is poetic justice. This is poetic justice.
Maneuver those words and those settings.
Yeah, and that's a skill and talent that, yeah, you take someone on one, and like you take people in one direction, and then you kind of plot twist it on them, to where, they think they're headed in one area, and then like you said, you actually made it about food. So let's run down some of the different things that, like the different disciplines of art that you are active in, like and kind of where that started. Like, so the singing, poetry, I know you do other stuff, arts and craft type things, and let's get into the timeline. Let's go down there.
Okay, so what you're talking about is my multifaceted abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, when I was younger, I had a grandmother that was a beautician, and I just knew I was going to go get my hair done. I didn't think about, like, just a couple of years ago, I just realized, I was like, she was an entrepreneur. I never even knew that she was an entrepreneur because nobody ever talked to me about it. They were just like, go to school, get a good job, and retire. That was it. So my grandmother was a beautician, and she made cakes. That's what she did, And so I got these skills not even knowing it. Like I can do hair. I can slay some hair. Don't get me wrong. I just choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's a lot of time too.
My sister,
that take a lot of time, right?
It does. And I was like, there's all these things I can do. What am I not gonna do? And I'm still trying to cut that list. But so I make pound cakes, and just old school regular pound cake.
Nothing.
Pound cakes, very delicious.
Yeah, I'm not icing and I'm not decorating and all that other kind of stuff. But in the midst of saying that, I started making this thing called cake dip.
Mm,
And it's basically preserves that you can just put all over your cake and eat it.
okay.
It's just nothing fancy. It's just something I just decided to call cake dip because you can dip your cake in it. And you- but on top of that, I make jewelry.
Mm,
Uh, and I did not make these, but they bad.
yeah.
Side the world. But I make jewelry. Um, and then the poetry aspect came about when I was really young. My mother would have me reading all these books. And so I got so advanced in reading that she started giving me thick books to just keep me busy, because it was music and reading. That was all I would ever do. So I started writing, and believe it or not, I got in trouble for the stuff that I used to write because she said I was too young to
Yeah.
write, but I was writing. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And I used to get in trouble for reading in school because I wouldn't read school books. Not unless it was a reading, how the reading books had stories in it.
Right.
So I'd be reading up underneath my desk, thinking I done turned invisible and couldn't nobody see me
Right.
doing math and everything else. And come find out, I wasn't supposed to be reading at that time. There's always time and place. But what was so crazy about it is that no one ever told me that that was something I could actually grow up to do, was be a writer.
Mm,
And so when my aunt, she was like 104, and it was in the nursing home,
mm,
and people were still coming to see her at the nursing home so she could recite poetry.
mm,
I was like, what?
mm,
Poetry? Still didn't make the connection, right? So I'm 21 and I'm in school. I'm in an English class, and it was an emphasis on Black women writers. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and take this class so I can get my credits. I can go ahead and get on up out. And my professor, Dr. Young, says, Jesse, you write beautifully. Do you know what you are? And I was like,
mm.
uh, a Black girl trying to get this A. Like, do I pass? Am I good? And she was like, JC, you're a poet.
Mm.
I said, a what? She said, a poet. I was like, okay, but did I pass? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so fast forward a few months later, I meet Everett. Um, and he had a set called 30 something entertainment,
Mm,
right?
mhm,
So he says, hey, you say you write. And I read him some of my stuff. He said, why don't you come to my open mic? I was like, what? I'm like 22, 23. Never heard of open mic, right? So I'm like, what do you invite me to? What is it? He broke it down. He says, just where people come and read what they've written on a mic. I was like, okay, cool. So go to it. And when I tell you I'm reading, I stand up to the mic and I'm hands shaking. I'm like, what? Ooh, I don't know about this, because it was such a foreign feeling to read my thoughts to people out in the audience and expect for them not to throw tomatoes, uh, boo me off the stage, and all of that. So I did that, and it was over from that point.
mm.
I was in, and couldn't get out. Like, got to a point where you crave the mic. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You crave the stage because
Painful.
people
Yeah.
walking up to you, I love your piece. And the more I did it, more people would come up to me and they were like, man, you just told my whole story. At that point, I didn't realize the stuff that you talk about, the stuff that I was writing about, other people was going through it too,
Yeah.
you know. And it just helps to know that somebody else is going through the same thing that you struggling through. And it helps you make it from that point, like we were talking about, just push. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That, just helps, you be able to make it because you're not the only one going through whatever you're going through. So, and from that, I mean, that's I guess the easiest way for me to tell it in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? How I got started.
That brings me to, like, so now you have a recently uh published work of yours, right? And that,
Yeah. So the first one, this one isn't as recent. I think I wrote this like in 2005.
mm,
And this was all like beat up and everything because this is my lookout. But the first one I wrote was called Burying My Soul.
mhm,
And I named it Burying My Soul because literally that's what I was doing. I was just I told people, I said, if you want to know my business, this is the book you want to read. You know what I'm saying? Because I just literally, when I'm writing about my story, my life, you
right.
know. And if it's not about my life, I know somebody that's going through something and I can like write what their situation is
Mm-hmm.
into a poem. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm always on the outside looking in at everything, And I may not talk about it, but I'll write about it, But it's this one, and this is got this published twice
Okay.
because first one had cuss words in it. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I want to sell this at the church, so let me republish it so the church members won't call me a heathen. And republished it. Never sold it at the church. How about that?
Mm.
How about that? Um, but with this book though, when I tell you, I never even thought about having a book. The reason why I did get a book is because I was carrying all of my poems around as a little trapper keeper.
Mhm.
And I would, now that shows you how old it is. I'm talking about trapper keepers,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not
So,
from that time. I'm not from that
right. So I would go to the poetry nights, and we got candles at
time.
the poetry nights, right?
Mhm.
I lay my thing down. My trapper keeper would bust open because I had so many poems, and my poems would catch on fire. 'Cause
Nightmare.
I was like, okay, we gotta do something. So I said I was gonna do it in a book. But the way I handed her my publisher, my first publisher, Julia Royston, of BK Royston Publishing. The way I handed it to her was old uh, envelopes where I done wrote a poem real quick and uh, look, old pieces of paper. So
Yeah.
I handed it to her like this, and she pushed it right on back to me. And she said, "Now, baby, what I'm gonna need you to do is type all that up, okay? And then we'll get started." Yeah. So I had to do all of that. But then my second book, I actually self-published it,
Mhm.
which I still needed to get some help. But something about doing these covers
Mhm.
had me crying. I mean, that's why we call our books our babies, because it's literally like you pushing out a baby, because it will run you crazy just like a child will. Anyway, but this was called Never Piss Off a Poet. And so what I explain to people is that um, never piss off a poet, because a poet will ink the hell out of you. Because I used to fight, and that's another thing. I was a fighter, and I, for the most part, I never fought nothing but men. You
Mm.
know, I was I was that one. I was the one kicking in the project doors while I was pregnant. And just tidy up my hair after I done kicked it in and then threw out all this stuff or whatever the case is, and go on and waddle myself on into the car, go on where I was getting ready to go before I had to kick him out my house. I was that one. And realized I couldn't keep fighting. I couldn't keep doing the stuff that I was doing because I am too cute for jail. And orange wasn't gonna be my new black. So I had to figure out something. So I just started writing, never thinking that I would be able to make money off of writing a book. You know, who would do that? So who's gonna pay for
Yeah.
my words, right? But that's what happened. So I guess that's the most I can tell you.
Yeah. And I like, so I even want to go back to a couple of things. So one in the uh earlier you mentioned even the word entrepreneurship. Like for me, that was a foreign word until probably, college age, 19. Like it's not something it, I had seen family members do stuff,
Mhm.
but hadn't really connected that word to a thing to be like if you say to a kid what you want to be, entrepreneur or running my own business was probably not on the top of that list,
It wasn't even
fireman,
a thought for
football
me.
player. So, something
Mhm.
something that was traditional, something that was pushed to me and
Mhm.
available to me as a black man, right? So,
Mhm.
that's one of the things too. Like, I think we are doing better with putting those ideas in our the next generation's head now. Like ownership is very important.
Yeah, I literally have set up workshops
Mm,
so I can work with our youth and help them figure out what their skill or their talent is.
mm, mhm.
And then I show them how to start a business out of it.
Yeah,
Because we've got too many kids that are kind of like me. I had a problem with authority because there's a certain way you can talk to people. You know what
right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I noticed is that people in authority want to talk to you as though you are less than
Mm,
who you capable of being.
mhm,
I really I was like I had to come to Jesus moment.
mhm.
I really have a problem with people telling me what to do.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's in the way that they tell you to do things that makes a difference.
right.
So and that's why I realized I needed to do something for myself
Mhm,
because when I'm working for other people, if it's not where I'm purposed to be,
mhm.
I am miserable.
Yeah,
Miserable. And it's not, there's nothing you can do about it other than stay miserable or start your own company and be happy, you know. And you're still working for somebody, but you're working for yourself and it's a service. Some people have that skill of being being in service to someone.
mhm.
You know? So that's that. And then I forgot to tell you, no one told me that my great aunt was a poet and they were teachers,
Mm,
right? Nobody said that. So when I was like, they're going to the nursing home here, I'm willing to do a poem. One was 104 when she passed. That was Aunt Mary. The other was 102
mm,
when she passed. And they were still spitting poetry.
mm, mm.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's beautiful.
yeah. So that's me. I'm gonna stop. But
Yeah. I mean, and that's the goal, man. To have a long, fulfilling life, and that's one of the things I often say about. I think most artists have a mindset where you know there might be a time where you decide to maybe not seek the biggest stages to
mm,
deliver and show your work and stuff like that. But whatever your craft is, you're gonna kind of do it till you can't do it. That's
mhm,
that it takes on a life of its own, and you might even still, you know, write, record, you know, come up with new ideas and things like that, and even work on perfecting them. You might just do it for self fulfillment.
right.
Uh,
So when did you get into poetry, spoken word, and everything that you do? What all do you have in the fire? Let's just say that.
The toolbox. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I would say so writing initially started probably in grade school. Like little, if there was some girl I liked,
Mm.
I would I would pen some corny letter, uh that I thought would influence her to say, okay, yeah, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend or something.
Mm.
I say those never were. None of those resulted in a girlfriend. Uh, I was probably shooting above my, you know, I was probably out of my league in most of those cases, right? So,
Okay.
so, but I learned a bit of persistence because I probably did that like 4 different times.
Mm-hmm.
So that the writing, with the intent to share and for the purpose of persuasion, to getting people to think in my mindset or whatever, or go along with my ideas. That kind of started then. Uh, Poetry kind of came later. Poetry didn't come like as far as like trying to craft artistically a set of lines, to where you know it, like I knew I was intentionally writing poetry. That came
Mm-hmm.
to me at about age 15. And as a result of my father uh, committing suicide, and I got it was a photo album that within that photo album, I don't know if I had seen it because it was pictures of me as an infant.
Mm-hmm.
And next to one of the pictures was what I considered a poem of him kind of like introducing me to the world.
Mm.
And so at that point, even though there had been like, abuse at his, by him towards me and my mother and stuff like that. And I had a mindset of, one day I want to see him and kind of say, hey, why this had to happen, that type of thing. There was the confrontation that I was building up to. But at age 15, all that was taken away. And so all I had was that piece of something to connect with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what started me actually writing poetry to say, okay, now I'm going to try to connect with whatever good piece of him that there was, and
Mm-hmm.
then try to build on everything that he did and try to do it better, stuff like that. And so yeah, that's where poetry came. And then singing was something I did at a young age, school choir, church choir. So singing and the melodic expression kind of infused itself into my poetry performance. And all of that stuff came let's see, so from 15, probably 22 is when I probably say I went on a stage and delivered something that I wrote, and just like, because before I do talent shows, and that was, that's other people's song, it was safe. I was like, it was already proven as good, so I didn't have to worry about the pressure of being judged for my personal expression. So yeah, 22 or something like that was probably when I started feeling comfortable enough to share my personal thoughts and stories to audiences. And then
Mm.
ever since, just been adding on different things that help enhance those things, and recording and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
podcasting and video editing, and to on a small scale. I ain't, but yeah, that's where
Yeah.
kind of stuff started.
We My dad had a quartet group
Mm-hmm.
from I was a baby all the way up until probably I was like 17. So I was always around music.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it was no choice in the matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they wouldn't let me sing in the group. They
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't let me sing in the group. I'm still mad about that. But it's like I couldn't get in the club. But so singing has always been around. I've always been in the church choirs and singing chorus and stuff like that. And like up until recently, probably about 4 or 5 years ago,
I decided I wasn't gonna sing in the choir no more because it was like a club. I have a thing with clubs and cliques.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like it, you know. So I realized that you don't have to sing in every choir, you know, in order to sing your praises to God.
Mm, mm,
You can sit in your room, sit in your house, sit in your car, and have an experience with God that probably nobody else could ever have. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Um, so it just hit me. I mean, of course, something else happened to make it be like,
Yeah.
hey, oh, wait a minute, that ain't quite right. That ain't quite Christian. Um, let me remove myself from the situation, you know. And people tell me, you can sing. Casey, you can sing. You've been mad long enough. You need to get back in that choir. I just, yeah, thank you, but I won't be doing it. But that's where the singing comes from. So we kind of alike.
Them choirs, boy. Choirs.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Choirs, I had, here's an experience I had when I was in the choir. I was probably 17, 18. Yeah, yeah, probably to the point. Yeah, 18, somewhere around there. I'd been a part of this church. It was a small church, one of those kind of like where, like how they have the little strip malls, and then there's like maybe office space in the strip mall, and then so that's where church is. And that's where we started. Um, so I had been a part of the musical ministry of that church since I was probably like maybe 16 or 17.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a choir, when there wasn't an organist. I was singing a cappella, and just being obedient to the spirit and to my mother urging, and ushering me into that direction. And I enjoyed it, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. But I say that to say, let's go years down the line, and then so now the church grows,
Mm-hmm.
own space,
Mm-hmm.
actual church building, and then there's an adjacent or attached building where there's offices and stuff goes, and now we have a music ministry, and then we got organists, we got a quartet of musicians,
Mm-hmm.
and we have membership, and I'm still participating. I joined the choir as one of the voices within occasional like solo whatever type of thing. So because it's not about really my personal glory, but if there's an investment just as a person, right? You feel if you invest your time and you know that you've been around investing time, you've been loyal and such, it can feel kind of weird when something may go left, or not as just somebody not living up to their word, right? So we had a situation where, all right, everybody, it was at one of the big holidays, might not have been Easter, but it was one of the big holidays. Again, I'm 18, 19, so I'm still, there's some of that ego piece in there of, all right, cool, I got to practice my solo, right? So I got to practice the solo, and then we did it, whatever. And then come the day of, another soloist that didn't do so well. So the minister of music felt it was appropriate that soloist get a chance at redemption, and that my solo gets not, yeah, we just do it another time. Nothing was said at the time to me, so that I could just be like, all right, cool. I just had to experience, as everyone else did, the time when it was rehearsed for me to go up, that the other person went up instead. And so, of course, I'm gonna at least and I didn't act stupid or go off. I just, hey man, what happened to the after, right?
Mhm.
It's over. Hey man, what happened? That's it. That's all I
Right.
said. You know, I even at that age, I at least had the cognitive thought to say, you know, hey, it's nothing to go, you know, get upset about, but at least I thought it was at least appropriate to ask, hey man, what happened? You know?
Mhm.
Fast forward the next week, the pastor within the message, at some point, he has something to say about, and when we're doing stuff for God, and it's not about who gets the solo. Because we, and I wait a minute.
Anybody with an ass.
Wait a minute. Now, so what you're telling me is this brother, the minister of music, who the neighborhood knows is doing nefarious deeds.
Nefarious.
Amongst the neighborhood and putting all kind of, you know, stains upon the name of the good church, right? Okay. All right, cool. And so that was my first, like you say, moment of, you kind of alluded to you realize you have to step back. All right, y'all got it. Y'all got it. Y'all don't need me for this.
Well, I'll tell you my little story. And then like this interview could last forever. We might have to have part one, part two, and, you know, continue. But we, you know, I told you I sang in the choir for years. Singing in choir for years. And the crazy part about this particular situation was that I wasn't trying to be in the choir. I wasn't trying to be in the choir. I said, well, everybody's telling me I need to sing because I've been sitting in the background and singing the songs in church, you know. Then in the people,
good. You need to go up there.
I'm fine. People turn like, girl, you need to be singing in the choir. I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna sing in the choir. I'm gonna sing in praise team. The praise team gets up, they sing their song, they sit down, right? Well, at that time I didn't have a car, and this guy was nice enough to take me to, you know, take me home and everything, but he stayed for choir practice along with me. So that's what I did. Well, come today where someone I have no anger towards him or anything like that. It's just what happened. He says that praise team is supposed to be singers of excellence, and if you can't keep the note he gives you, then you don't need no praise team. And I was like, okay. The week before, or a couple of weeks before, this girl, we're singing, and he keeps saying, somebody's not singing the right note. This girl takes herself and moves away from me, goes all the way down to the other key to make sure that it was apparent that it wasn't her. So when that happened, boom, and then him saying that on this particular day, I go over to him and I was like, if you feel that it's me that's the problem, because he said, well, we're going to send emails out to everyone that's going to be in, you know, still on the praise team. If you don't get an email, don't get upset, don't be in your feelings, just, you know, don't be leaving the music ministry and all that. It's just what it is, because that's his responsibility, and it's the music. I said, okay. But if you feel like it's me, all you gotta do is tell me I am good. Because remember, I wasn't trying to be in the choir. You know, everybody just kept on trying to push. So, I tell people I got bullied into being in the choir. So in the praise team or whatever, because people, you ain't saying it. So anyway, I didn't get that email, but he got an email. And I said, thank you so very much for the time of being within the music ministry. For the most part, it was an enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
time, but I will be removing myself from all music ministry activities. Be blessed.
Yeah.
And I went
Yeah.
on about my business. I don't, I just don't, yes, no, you should not be up there sounding hot mess Jenkins.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm not saying I'm the best singer, but I do know I have a unique way of like notes and
Yeah.
stuff.
Finding your place in there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I'm good. I keep singing in the pews,
Right.
singing in my car, and wherever else I feel like I'm having a relationship with the Lord, and that's what it's been. Now I have started kind of helping out one school choirs that I've been teaching at, so in that way I've.
Yeah. That could
But
be a whole different, that could be a whole different type of rewarding experience when you're dealing with youth that are maybe even just discovering their love for their own voice, and that. But I want to put a put a bow on that on our both of our stories there. I think what that says is it demonstrates um, the method in which we would navigate around an adversarial situation
mhm,
regarding something we're passionate about doing. Like
right,
even if I love singing, even if I love learning these new songs and love how the harmonies hit with everybody, like if it's going to be an adversarial situation, and especially when it's like there's no leverage on, so it's like, all right, well, I mean, I can't force anything. Like if you're gonna, you going, everything's in your favor, and if for some reason, you know, I'm an issue, then hey,
I remove myself from the situation.
just go on doing other stuff. Because like you said too, it's like, you know, people they don't give enough credit to the individual bond and relationship that you can have with your higher power, right?
Mhm,
Because like that, speaking directly to that inner voice that guides you on the day to day. It's like, yeah, it's something to be said of letting people know what your walk is and what your faith is and everything. It's something to be said about that. Definitely not ashamed of letting people know that I believe in God and I believe in the higher power and the guidance that's there, and that I can do nothing personally as an individual without something higher than me guiding me
mhm,
a path for me and removing some of the things that I myself cannot get through. You know what I'm saying? Making a way when I might not see the way. I have no problem letting that be known, right? But
right.
at the same time, um, we as people in general have gone and have done too much to corrupt different institutions that are attached to praising the Most High.
Mhm.
It's different genres, I mean, different denominations. It's across the board. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, I call it. I tell people once you go beyond the veil
mm,
of the inner workings of whatever denomination, whatever church, is you see things differently.
yeah,
You know, it's like they say your third eye is open. Do you know what I'm saying? You're like, wait a minute. Had I not been in that
right.
choir or
Mhm,
on that ministry or whatever the case is, had I been just sitting and just having my own relationship with Christ,
mhm.
I probably would have never noticed. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying?
This is my pain. first offspring, man child, out of wedlock born, see. Felt like the whole world had a headlock on me. Some days was calm, most days was stormy. I swear my own pops, man, he had it in for me. Mama did her best to protect and adore me. Even she couldn't stop him from trying to harm me. Whole time felt like boot camp in the army. Those 6 years of fear would forever scar me. That's why if I could, I'd only go out in the rain, so I wouldn't have to smile to hide my pain. I keep most folks at the edge of my pain and never let nobody close enough to hurt me again. They say a man ain't supposed to cry or complain. To tell the truth, it's a miracle that I'm still sane. My heart got permanent scars and my brain is so still. Tell me, are you feeling my pain? Are you feeling my pain? Are you feeling my pain? Hey, hey, years gone by, still alive, but a dime in the five. Mama, baby, girl, and I still trying to survive. We down south, west coast is where he resides. I'm thanking God for all the blessings that he provides. But sometimes I'm wishing Papa's more near to eyes, so I could let go of the hate of all this fear to die. Just when we began to reconcile, he decides he can't live another day past 35. And that's why, if I could only go out in the rain, so I wouldn't have to smile to hide my pain. I keep most folks at the edge of my pain and never let nobody close enough to hurt me again. To say a man ain't supposed to cry or complain. To tell the truth, it's a miracle that I'm still sane. My heart got permanent scars and my brain is so stained. Tell me, are you feeling my pain? Are you feeling my pain? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you feeling my pain? Hey, hey. For any time he ever ran out of options, thanks to mama's prayers and guidance, I was blessed to find new ones. And today is a new day, so today I speak of new. For any time he ever ran from the demons that chased him out of his mental, I pick up torch, armor, and sword, inherit his enemies and vanquish them every one. Today I shield others now. For any time he ever ran into walls seemingly made of granite and steel until they all managed to kill his spirit, forcing him to fall prey to self-inflicted consequences. Today I stand on name, sir. If I could, I'd only go out in the rain, so I wouldn't have to smile to hide my pain. I keep most folks at the edge of my pain and never let nobody close enough to hurt me again. To say a man ain't supposed to cry or complain. To tell the truth, it's a miracle that I'm still sane. My heart got permanent scars and my brain is so stained. Tell me, are you feeling my... If I could, I'd only go out in the rain, so I wouldn't have to smile to hide my... I keep most folks at the edge of my hand and never let nobody close enough to hurt me. They say a man ain't supposed to cry or complain. To tell the truth, it's a miracle I'm still. My heart got permanent scars and my brain is so stained. Tell me, are you feeling my pain?
The Prolific Experience is the event infused with the poetry, music, and soul that you've been looking for. Purchase your advance tickets for your experience at theprolificexperience.com.